Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Charlie Rowen here, and before we get into today's video, there's something I'd like to say. I'd like to let you all know that we have a merch store. Some of the items in it are only available for a limited amount of time, so if you're interested, go into the description and check it out. Each purchase helps us make more content. Secondly, if you didn't know, only 25% of you guys are subscribed to us, so please hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the video. In this deep dive, we are explaining quirks from My Hero, how they affect society, how they have changed over time, and how they started. The first person to have a quirk was a newborn baby who was born in Xinjiang City, China, where they could glow. After this, superpowers, as they were initially known as, started to manifest in people all around the world. It's unknown what started quirks to manifest, but there are theories in the MHA universe on how they started. One is that they spread by a virus carried by mice. This led to a new era of powers where society broke down, caused by the increase of crime from superpowered people. Eventually, people had enough of all the crime going and using their quirks to help as the first generation of heroes. Although the heroes were hunted just like the villains since they were considered vigilantes. During this time, All For One started to build his empire, taking quirks from people who didn't want them and giving them to those who did, all for him to gain more power. After an unknown amount of time, society adapted to their new normal, where it was decided that police wouldn't use their quirks to fight crime. Instead, a new profession of quirk users helping people would start, aka pro heroes. Side note, when this happened, they put quirk restriction laws in place to make sure order would stay in society. Those laws are, you can't use a quirk in public except in the case of self-defense, children must receive quirk counseling in elementary school to learn how to use their quirk responsibly, and aspiring pro heroes need to undergo special education during high school where they will then gain their licenses to use their quirks freely. With the new job, vigilantes slowly started to disappear, either retiring or becoming an official pro. Side note, there are still some vigilantes out there, but they are much rarer than they used to be. When the profession was first created, it was heavily criticized, but over time it became more accepted. However, there were still some who didn't like the government's restriction on quirks, thinking they should be allowed to use something that is a part of them whenever they want, also claiming it was a basic human right. This belief started a movement known as the Meta Liberation Army, which was initially led by Destro. This group rebelled against the government for several years, but eventually was defeated. Side note, this group is still a thing, now led by Destro, and is a group more in the shadows. Also, people with a quirk now make up 80% of the global population. Before we get back into the dive, I would like to say that we've got a third channel called Anime Theory. Anime Theory mainly focuses on a large variety of mind-boggling anime theories. Now, in case you guys didn't know, we are a secondary channel to our main channel, We the Celestials. We the Celestials is full of fun what-if stories. If you have the sugar tooth for great storytelling, please give that channel a visit as well. If you are interested in the content we share with all channels, make sure you click the icon in the top right corner, or check out the description below for a link to the channel. Now with that out of the way, let's get back into the dive. Doctors identify whether people will or won't get a quirk via if they do or don't have an extra joint in their pinky toe. Those with just one will develop a quirk, although if they have two, they will be quirkless. Typically, quirks will manifest when the person is 4, but they can manifest when the person is first born. Examples of this are Present Mike and the first person with a quirk. Quirks are also physical abilities, so the more the user trains, the stronger the quirk is. However, if a user overuses their quirk, there can be drawbacks. Typically, the disadvantages can be something as small as dry skin, or as severe as breaking your bones. Midoriya. Some people also can't handle their quirk, needing support items to properly use it, like Yuga Aoyama in Class 1A who needs a belt to control his laser. Also, a quirk power can be measured, although we have only seen Toshinori Yagi, aka All Might. Even though quirks are usually seen in humans, they can be found in animals, like Yue's principal Nezu and his intelligence quirk. There is also a thing called a quirk factor that is the main power and the way that makes the quirk function properly for the user, and how they use the quirk. Someone can also gain another or a first quirk with the aid of All For One, and there's a chance that if the person already had a quirk, the two could combine like what happened with One For All. There are also ways that someone can either temporarily block the use of a quirk factor or completely destroy the quirk factor. An example of temporarily blocking the quirk factor is Eraserhead's Quick Eraser, and an example of entirely destroying a quirk is the quirk-destroying bullets made by Overhaul. People typically inherit quirks via Mendelian inheritance, where the child will gain one of 3 different things, either their dad's quirk, mom's quirk, or a combination of the 2 quirks. The combination may also sometimes be evident from an appearance like Shoto Todoroki's half-cold and half-hot sides. Side note, since they figured this is how people typically gain their quirks, this led to quirk marriages, where people will choose partners based off quirks to hopefully have their kid's quirk be a combination of the 2. Although people can also gain quirks that aren't related to their parents' quirks at all, this is much rarer. Physical changes can also be passed down even if the person has an entirely different quirk. Examples of this are Fumikage Tokoyami, who has a bird-like head that has nothing to do with his shadow monster quirk. Another is Koji Koda, who has a rock-like head that has nothing to do with his ability to talk to animals. There also is the much rare possibility of 2 people with quirks having a quirkless baby, such as the case of Izuku Midoriya. Some quirks also have a rarity commonality to them, such as a quirk to increase one's size is common. One that isn't is something like warping. There's also another thing that can happen to someone's quirk after its initial manifestation called awakening, where the person's quirk awakens becoming more powerful. An example of this is Toga's quirk, where her awakening allowed her to now be able to use a person's quirk after transforming into them. Thank you all for watching the video to the end. Now there's a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. On behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer for this video, as well as the editor for this video. Their details will be in the description. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the Discord that is in the description of this video and hit up the head of one of those areas. We're always looking for members to join us. That's it from us for today's video, so thank you all for watching. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested, and hit that like button if you like the video. Until next time, peace out, mortals. Have an amazing day.